And there's.
Now we have.
All right, so it's 4:30. We're gonna kick it off. Welcome everyone. Thank you for being here on a sunny day. We're gonna kick it off with our short abbreviated land acknowledgement, and then we will, actually, I'm supposed to do roll call first. I will start with roll call. Oh, my cheat sheet. I found it. All right, I go. Is there a reason I'm echoing? Hello, oh, there we go. Okay, got it. Right, Commissioner Frively. Hi, present. Commissioner Donovan. Awesome. Commissioner Bose present. Commissioner Swinton Harris. Present, all right? Okay. Commissioner Howard, I don't think is here, and Commissioner Chair Josephson.
Present.
Present. Awesome.
Shannon, or Mason Shannon. He said he would be on shortly. I don't know if you called his name.
Oh, I didn't call everybody. Commissioner Helmer is not present. Oh, and he's not on the list, right? Commissioner Mason, is that right?
I'll need to update it.
Yep. All right, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land we are on that we now call Springfield is located on the traditional indigenous homeland of the Kalapuya people. We acknowledge that the city of Springfield shares this history with the exclusion and erasure of many indigenous people, including the Kalapuya and those who first inhabited the land on which we are now located. We also acknowledge that Kalapuya people are still stewards of this land and continue contributing to our history today. Awesome. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us here today. Our general outline for the agenda tonight is to basically go through our work plan updates. And so we have some updates on awards, I think. Someone, maybe?
Are you ready for that now, or you're just introducing the
No,
agenda?
just introducing it, just making sure that our agenda is right. We have updates on RLS and then we can talk through anything else. Also some updates on the walking tour guides. So we can keep working through those. Anything else that needs to be added to the agenda people want to discuss tonight? No.
I mean, we're just gonna do the whole bulleted list, I think.
And we're gonna be part of the agenda tonight. We haven't had any applications in a while. That should be coming, I imagine, in the near future.
Yeah, nothing on the horizon right now, just
Okay.
inquiries.
Great. Did you have a agenda spot? Do you have a discussion topic?
I do have a proposal idea, and
Okay.
see if I can get any support for
Okay.
it.
We will let you speak.
Thank you.
All right, so that's our agenda for the night, and we don't have any public comment tonight, so you are on the agenda. I see. Inquiry into OAPA 23 historic walking tour. I'll let you speak.
Okay. Most of you know me, I'm Drew Larson. I'm a transportation planner for the city of Springfield. But I've also volunteered to help plan the Oregon chapter of the American Planning Association conference, the end of October. It's going to be taking place at the Graduate. I'm looking at potentially doing a couple mobile tours. Had some ideas about like a bike tour in Springfield, but we don't have the best infrastructure to really showcase to other Oregon planners. So my other idea was, Eugene doesn't have a historic district, but Springfield does. So my initial thought was kind of a walking tour of the downtown historic buildings, as well as going through the neighborhood, showing kind of the do's and don'ts of historic preservation. I know that there's plenty of examples of don'ts, but I know that there's also some really good do's in the district. Some that you have all been privy to in the past few years. So I'm assessing and trying to see if anybody would be interested in partnering and trying to put together a proposal to the conference planners of a walking tour in Springfield at the end of October. First thought was Curry Gill lived in town. She could probably lead it. Jenna, she's done extensive, I hate the volunteering, I know. But you have extensive downtown experience, specifically with a few historic preservation and renovation projects. So, yeah, it's just seeing if anybody would want to help champion that and submit a proposal. Okay.
I'd be very excited to help. Also, you might think about, we could have a couple of construction projects that you could do like a little tour through a construction site as part of that, if that's of interest. I don't know, maybe it's more planning versus actual preservation focus, but it just could be a thing.
I mean, there was other ideas because there's a bunch of, downtown murals.
Mhm.
Not specifically the Simpsons one, just the one that's actually sanctioned. But there are plenty of public art that is in downtown Springfield. So it could be a tour of Springfield's downtown renovation, as well as an emphasis on historic and the Washburn district, because personally, the Washburn district is essentially the nicest neighborhood in Springfield. My personal opinion, there's other thoughts on that matter, but yeah, Jenna, if you and I want to try to put something together, put a proposal together and submit it, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I can help.
Is this, and this would just be for the conference attendees?
Yeah, so we figure out, transportation, either, we rent a bus or we all just hop on the MX, which would be my preference. I'm sure that the LTD would provide passes for us for the conference.
Cool. Yes.
I also wonder if this might tie in. I know we had a discussion of the 2 walking tour booklets that we have and potential opportunities to modernize those. And I wonder if some of the work between these 2 projects might overlap in terms of what you put together being relevant to those documents too.
We do need to update them.
Mhm.
I'm not sure that we'll have time to update them before October, but we could try, At the very least, we can get more of the old ones printed with the vision that we're gonna update the new ones at some point.
Yeah, it could be a kicking off.
It could be a
point,
good
too,
kicking
of
off,
like
yeah.
trying information gathering of what all to include in the
Yeah,
next.
right, just
slide.
planning the tour might be a helpful,
Right.
like, what should be in the next iteration, right?
totally.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't imagine, I think there's probably more content in each of those books than you would necessarily include in this tour.
Yeah.
But taking some of the things included in this tour and keeping that on file for us to update those, I think would be helpful.
Absolutely.
The other thought, and that's a good suggestion, because this October, we're gonna be at the end of our grant cycle, so we won't have money that we can spend at that time. That'd be a really great time to start the planning of another project that we're gonna need funding for eventually, so we can be ready.
Could also highlight some of the recipients of Heritage Awards, which will be announced in
Yeah,
September.
totally.
And that last year's and this year's, then if we have a little, handful, kind of cool.
So my tag on question to this, not to make it bigger, this is just a what if kind of question, but if we're already putting together a guided walking tour and it's for these specific group, is it possible that there could be a tour B for like Washburn residents and historic commissioners and other people who might be interested, city staff, counselors, whoever we want to invite to get to go and see if you guys have your spiel down, kind of a tour down. Is that
So not like paid participants of the conference, only opening it up to the Springfield
Or a
community.
sure, or
Second
like,
one.
yeah, a week, Saturday version or an evening,
Or
version that ends at Planktown and there's, the awards or something like that.
If that's within your work plan, I would say, yeah, let's, you could certainly do it.
Yeah, I mean, there doesn't have to be funds associated with it. I don't think unless Curry or you or one of you would like compensation. Other than that, it's a.
Well, my plan is to just work with the proposal. I don't think I can lead a tour.
Okay,
But it would be, Jenna knows downtown, Curry knows more of the history. I've been involved in a few of the projects over the past 5 years. Could definitely showcase one that was like, don't do it this way. I approve that one. Don't do it. These ones, on the other hand, were very well received and done, so.
Cool, I think that would be awesome.
Well, maybe as the proposal gets put to, like
Yeah.
more refined.
Yeah,
we
put
can
that in the
have
back of
better
your head
thoughts.
and
Yeah,
maybe-
I'm sure Curry's a total cheerleader for downtown or for Springfield,
Yeah,
I'm sure we can convince her.
yeah,
But to do another tour at some point, whether it's directly adjacent to this one or whether it's something that we just use this as a starting point to do. another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it might be a slightly different focus that you want to give to the general public
That's
too, you don't want to, put any projects down on a general public kind of tour, of don't do versus do.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. Be a little more sensitive to something.
Right.
Yeah, I was wondering if
You're
you're
muted.
just wanting, am I?
You're good now. Yep.
Okay. I was wondering, Drew, are you hoping just for more of the historic, or are you wanting a planning element to come through as well? I'm happy to try to work in a planning element somewhere, but
There's other historic districts around the state of Oregon, so it'll be, because when I stepped into the historic, I had no training whatsoever. So if I'd gone to a conference and done a walking tour of being like, these are the things we're looking for, these are the elements we're looking for, here's a good example of those elements, here's a bad example of what not to do, so it would be more assisting local regional planners to go home and be able to apply historic design guidelines.
perfect.
Fire them.
Hopefully inspire them and to showcase how awesome Springfield is and has become.
Taking public houses.
Exactly.
Out there.
Mhm. Can always do a pub crawl. Yes, they are working on a pub crawl as well, but there's a lot of Eugene planners involved and I'm the only Springfield person, so. But, I'm at Wade. It's
When is the conference?
the end of October, just before Halloween. I can't remember the specific dates,
Okay.
but
Cool.
They can come to the haunted museum.
they could, yes. On a separate note, if we're done with that topic, I am gonna be doing some transportation option tabling at the art fair or the art walks this summer. If anybody wanted to, set up a table adjacent and do some historic stuff as well. My plan is to ask Maddie if I can do it outside of the museum, but could be an educational opportunity
Right,
for this commission as well.
yeah, we gotta start producing some stuff so we can do that.
You can always put some postcards out there.
In postcards, there are boxes of the walking tours
Yeah,
and
are there? Cause we were worried that we're under the impression that they were all gone.
Oh, I just reprinted them.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, you got the new ones. Okay, that's on the update list.
there's boxes in there. Did
Those
I
are the
never
new
show you?
ones then. Those are the new ones.
No, that's
I
on
have
me.
a couple stacks of postcards, but I don't think. I
Oh,
have
there's
a lot.
boxes in the storage shed. I'll be here. I got some BPAC stuff after this. So if you're done before 6, I'll show you where they are. If not, I'll show you tomorrow.
I wonder if they're the ones that you just got printed or if they're the old ones
The booklets.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's tons of those.
of
So,
both colors.
yeah,
Both kinds.
I believe so. I haven't looked in
Okay.
8 months, but
Sweet. Well, I mean, we need them, so even if we have extras now, that's fine.
yeah, normally I would, when they get low out here, I'd come and resupply out here.
so, good to know. Maddie sent an email saying that they were out, so.
You had it in the money, you had the budget, so. Cool.
All right, thanks, Drew.
Awesome. Jen, I'll send an email. We'll figure out how to reach out to Curry and whatnot. So,
Yeah, and I don't know, Brian, were you wanting to be on this as well? No, okay.
The only reason would be that you all can't do is to add the planning. Any kind of planning element, but it sounds like that is not really gonna be the focus, which is totally okay. They'll get plenty of other stuff, I'm sure.
and what do you mean by planning element outside of? review?
I was thinking more along process and mostly just process, I guess. And yeah, probably just process.
Okay,
Display a roll of red tape.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I got a hoop for
But
that.
everybody's process is gonna be different, so it's,
Yeah, so you can also, I mean, Curry's got expert in reconnaissance local surveys, so all of those types of things as well, and.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on what her capacity and what she. Cause honestly, I would lean on her for her expertise.
100%.
100%, I'm just coordinating and helping set it up.
Yeah.
So, I guess it would be more Curry telling us what she'd be willing to do or what she should do. Cool.
Awesome.
Anything else?
Any other questions for Drew? Okay.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
We'll see you soon.
Brian, just so you know, when you're unmuting, we're getting like a 5-second delay. So you might want to pause before saying.
okay, I can do that.
Still do. Still didn't hear that. So we can see what you said. We can read your lips.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, so even longer than the pause I gave.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll give you a thumbs up when we hear you. All right, we'll move along on the agenda. It is 4:45, we're right on schedule. We have no land use applications. So, update, I think these are just our standard items, so I'll just kind of run through them. We don't really have any updates on our budget other than some of our projects are shifting, so we'll have to go back and look at our budget again likely. But we need to figure out what our shift is first. So I'm gonna skip that one for now.
Money shift or timing shift?
We will see. Training opportunities, anybody, training updates, anybody find anything they want to attend?
I mean, I want to go to the Royal Vancouver History Museum. I do a bunch of research, but that's not relevant. Better call it training.
Sure.
I'll find something up there.
Yeah, I'm sure you could find a way to
Right.
training in for us while you're up there, or some research.
Maybe
for
there's
us.
Oregon history up there.
Mhm. Okay. So update, I already gave on the walking tour guides. I was able to get 500 of each printed, so they're produced, they're delivered.
So did we find the PDFs then?
They did not have a PDF, so I
Yeah.
actually had them scan a new one, so we now have a PDF. Well, what we had was a photocopied, so it was like a little piece of paper on an 8.5 by 11, and each one was kind of like crooked, and it was very sloppy. So they scanned and gave us an actual PDF, but it's just a scanned image of the original.
Oh, yeah, so it's still not like
It's not high quality.
good, yeah.
So that's what we have to work with. It's
Yeah,
just like
it is what it is.
improvement.
It wasn't graphically great, even
Right.
as it was.
Yeah, so we have an opportunity to restart that process, I think, in the fall, if there's energy and interest there from anybody who wants to work on that. Yes,
I would be willing to.
yeah. awesome.
I did pick up both of them at the museum,
Mhm.
so I have opened them,
Mhm.
so, yeah, I'd be interested in helping.
Cool, that's awesome. Yeah, we should talk more about that and how you, yeah, however you want to take it. The world is open of possibilities. I think we've talked about doing the Esri map. We could add a web page potentially. But we could just update the guide itself as a basic, we're gonna need to do that
Just
anyways
like
as a
put
starting
real
point.
photos in there, like
Yeah,
make it just graphically better as a starting point and
Yeah.
then, and just paste the text back in and then decide if we want to change any of the text. I know there's some errors in there that I've found,
Yeah.
like, could fix it.
and then the big question will be like, what's missing?
Yeah.
And who's the best person to answer that,
Yeah.
I guess.
In tandem, or as a side note to that, the museum committee is currently in the process of basically writing / compiling a new history book for Springfield, which will be published in the fall.
A history book?
Yeah, like the new reference for Springfield history, basically.
Oh, is there one that exists now other than?
That
the
like
context
Between Two
statement?
Rivers book is kind of the one everyone goes to, and the
Oh,
context statement, right?
Okay,
So out of that, we might have some good bits and pieces to add to the walking tour, you know, like, I don't know, and we have a lot of the photos and stuff pulled out.
Is that gonna be a free resource for the community?
No, it's gonna be not super expensive, but it's a book. I mean, we're have to pay to publish it and stuff.
Cool, who's doing that work?
Me and Maddie and Megan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay, I'm making note of that. Walking tour we'll add to our list for the fall. And you can start brainstorming. You can start, really. It also might correlate well with if and when we bring consultants on to do our update for the RLS down of the district. Just kind of getting updated information. They can probably help get some images, depending if we want to use historic. I don't
Like
remember if there's
modern-
historic images.
The ones in there are mostly older images. I think, honestly, some of them look older. The houses in the district are just like from the 80s when they made the district. All those pictures are just, I
Yeah,
think, from then. So it might make sense in some cases to get fresh pictures or find actually old pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's probably a decision point there around how long we expect this document to be in its current form before it is once again updated.
Yeah.
right.
Or before it's a phone app. Which is
Right.
kind of my long-term game plan personally, but also I do like having the pamphlet. It kind of needs to be both. Like if you could have a pamphlet with a QR code and then you can like see other pictures as you're walking around of each asset,
Yeah,
you know, long-term project.
and I think that there's room to have both photos too, like we can find a historic and a
Totally.
current, so they can find it today and see how it's changed.
I think it's just, we don't want to do current if this thing is gonna sit here for like 10 years and not look like that anymore, because that
It's true.
creates a, you know, for telling people, go look for this current iteration of it.
That's true.
Yeah, for the houses, they don't change
Yeah,
that much,
that's true.
honestly, like the pictures from the 80s. Unless they were already heavily modified, they haven't been modified since then too much because we won't let them, because they're in the district, right? But if they were kind of trash, then, well, then they probably weren't on the walking tour, so they probably actually don't look that much different, other than plants.
I think downtown would be the one
Yeah,
that would be
totally.
challenging.
Yeah, and that
Yeah,
people
that's true.
mostly want to see the old timey time pictures anyways.
Yeah, that's something that we could actually start in on. That could be kind of fun, is
Yeah.
going in to get those original photos and starting a photo library to get ready for all that.
Totally.
Best place to do that. Have you done that before, like historical photo research?
Not really, no.
Probably the Lane County History Museum. But
All the
yeah.
pictures in that book are in the Springfield Museum
Oh, that Even
collection.
easier. That's awesome.
Obviously, if we want additional or newer, not newer, but like just different views or something, it could be a gamble. Some of them in the Springfield collection, some might be in the LCHN.
Okay, cool. So we can connect you with Maddie.
Mhm.
Is there anybody else who should be involved since you're on the museum committee too?
I mean, Maddie's the point person for accessing the collections,
Okay.
so really, the starting point would just be like, you know, have her basically find all the photos in that book as a starting point, right? The actual file, and get us the updated file.
Do you want me to send an email introduction to Maddie?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Okay. I will do that. That's exciting. Handbook and commissioner guidelines. Where did we leave that last time? Brian, he's gonna pause for a minute while his microphone warms up.
You can do it like
All
a
right.
3, 2.
you all hear me yet?
1, and it's still quiet. Hold on.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
There you go.
Still? Oh, wow, okay. So, still waiting. Have we heard anything back from the city attorney's office at all?
No,
Okay.
I reached out. It's typically slow going through there, so.
I get it. So kind of just in a holding pattern until they get back, and then we get a little more guidance on what we should
Yep.
give people for the handbook.
Okay. Sounds good. That's a long-term goal anyways, so we'll keep that one on the agenda going forward. Postcards.
So I think the big edit, which I produced here as a draft, is basically just the bottom two lines that say other points of contact. So, sorry, online attendees. Basically, the bottom two lines on the original postcard did say, for reference, it just had the City of Springfield Planning and Development Office with a phone number, and then it had the Washburn District Neighborhood Association phone number, which was just Nancy Corber's phone number. She lives in Portugal now, not relevant. And there's not really another point person for the Washburn District Neighborhood Group right now, at least not a dedicated, you know, human or contact. So instead, on the revised version, I put the Historic Commission email address, the new one, on the, to replace the Washburn District Neighborhood Association line. And then because then the lengths of the text were different, it drove me crazy. I then also added the physical address of the Springfield Planning and Development Office. That's all I did. Everything else is the same. One question would be, in this like green box, we've talked about, or we haven't talked about, but just in general, the sort of incentive programs for homeowners thing. I've always debated about it because I don't feel like we really are helpful there.
Yeah.
And if people come to us asking about that, I don't know, but we can point them to stuff, but, and maybe in the future, it's kind of aspirational, like, maybe eventually we will be able to offer local incentive programs, and so it just says to inquire, it doesn't say we actually have them, so we could continue to leave it that way.
And disappoint them.
Could we perhaps make it a little bit more? I mean, if we're not currently able to offer an incentive program, but are perhaps able to point them in the right direction, maybe take out local incentive programs, but add something about, you know, for assistance connecting with programs, for more information on programs.
So we did at one point have a local incentive program. But yeah, we could just say for historic or something incentive programs, just take the word local out, right? Yeah, or we could just take that line off altogether and then like space the text out. Or just inquire with the Historic Commission for other opportunities.
Yeah. You could say that. Other opportunities.
Other, Yeah.
Information and resources.
or
Yeah, that's great.
other info and resources.
Yeah, I think something general, yeah.
Or,
Yeah, that was part why I was looking at all those grants. It's
Mhm.
like, maybe we can pool a list of possible grants that we can hand off to people.
I'll see if other info and resources fits. If it doesn't quite fit, then I might just say for additional information or something.
Yeah, that sounds good. But did you have a thought or comment? That's okay if you don't. I just thought I saw your mic come off, so I thought you were gonna say something.
Oh, no, I don't, no.
Okay.
I wish I actually I meant to come to the meeting, by the way, actually, in person. As usual, Zoom was easier. I
Yeah.
ended up, but I'd like to actually come to the meeting one day.
There's always next month. Okay,
So I guess then the next step after finishing editing these a while back, a couple months ago, I sent the breakdown of costs, but I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know, did we decide to pursue a certain quantity, or should I go ahead and get them ordered, or?
we did. I'll send you that.
Okay.
Because I don't have it pulled up right now and I don't know if I have access from here.
It's fine, yeah, just send me.
So. Write a full note to myself for us. Okay. Cool, thanks, Jenna. I see RLS stuff isn't, on the agenda, so I'm gonna just add that in, and then give you a break, Jenna, because we go back to awards after that. So for we had an interesting few weeks here for the reconnaissance level survey. We got an email saying that we had missed a deadline and that, or that we were about to miss a deadline and that it was unlikely we were gonna be able to complete our reconnaissance level survey work, so we went back and we were like, what deadline? So Tom and I have been meeting, we met with Curry, or Jason, we've been emailing with Curry, and then we got a meeting with Jason, who is who will oversee the study itself at the state. He's from Chapeau as well. And we found out that there was a guidebook that wasn't handed off to us. So it was kind of like one of those lost in translation things. So I had a grant agreement I was working off of. There's no dates identified in the grant agreement, but there's a whole nother guidebook that outlines some deadlines that we didn't have on our radar. So May 1st, next week, the first draft of the RLS is supposed to be submitted to SHPO. And since we didn't know that, we won't be doing that. But we did get permission from them to extend that. So now we've been going back to the contractors that Charlotte had been working with and seeing if there's any ways that we can get them to expedite our project to try to get a draft in by, they said, no later than mid-July. And so they have some initial projects that they would need to wrap up first. And so that's kind of where things are right now, is that, and actually thanks, Tom has been done a lot of work to try to help make sure, well, one, to help set up all these meetings, but also to kind of figure out what the procurement stuff would be. It sounds like we're pretty good to go, Tom, on all that.
Yeah, we just need that amount confirmed.
Yeah, so, and I would work with the consultants to get that final amount. So we can get, it sounds like we could get a contract rolled out pretty quickly.
Nice, that's good.
So assuming that WCRA, who we have been talking to, Willamette Cultural Resource Associates up in Portland, assuming that they can clear their plate for us and try to get a draft in by mid-July, we can still move forward on it. And we have to have a final draft in by end of August. But if they say that they can't do it that quickly, then we'll have to table the RLS, unfortunately, again. So, and everyone keeps saying, it's not a big deal, just do it next time. Even the state was saying that, we're like, no. Let's do it. If we can do it, let's do it. Because I try to explain that we won't be able to fund it all anyways next time. So it'd just be another lagging, like get a first phase done and we'd have to do it again the next time. So I'd like to try to get as much done as we can. So everybody cross your fingers. I'm just waiting on an email back from WCRA. Brian.
Let me know when you can hear me.
Pausing.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. I don't know why it's doing that tonight. Just so we know in the future, we'll rewrite Tom on the contracting amount and keeping it under that amount before posting a public one. What I found by brief Google search.
We approved $8,000 to spend, which is below the $10,000 threshold.
It was 10,000. Perfect. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's always a chance that something else unexpected will come up, but hopefully we can pull something together. The other thing, so the ILS for the Great Jaquaa House is currently underway, and then we also found out there's deadlines for that. So I had a mild heart attack there for a second. I was like, this work is already contracted and underway. But they're much more flexible on that apparently than they are in the RLS, because what they need is like at least a month to review a draft of it and comment, and then allow for us to revise it before it goes in, the final draft goes in. And they're pretty firm on that. So is there anything else, Tom, that?
I think that catches us up. We just need that final amount from WCRA and I'll get that over to Amanda. and It's
Go,
rubber
go,
hitting the
go.
road.
Yeah, so fingers crossed. Welcome, Mason. We're actually just hitting up the end of our agenda down here. Jenna, do you have a word?
So, basically, we're still aiming theoretically to kick off next Thursday, the 4th. We'll see. It might go a week later, partially because Amber, or, the main communications person for Springfield has been out of town for a couple weeks and doesn't get back until Monday. I think, the 1st. So, I'm I just finally figured out kind of that Laura Lynn is taking over in her absence, so hopefully Laura Lynn can rock this, otherwise we might just have to wait till Amber's back and give her, it might be the following Thursday before we could kick it off, which is still fine. It's still Historic Preservation Month. It'll be fine. But we got the translation done on the slate edits to the ORD packet. I need to figure out exactly who to send those to. I'm gonna start by just sending them to Laura Lynn too. I don't know if she can just be like, yeah, whatever, it's fine, or whether it has to go through,
Yeah, I don't know.
approval. Yeah. And I don't know who would be the one to approve it. Since we don't have an in-house translator, like, I'm not sure who's gonna approve in-house translation. What else? And so then also we need to update the website, but I can't update the website until we get that approval on the translation and stuff. Which I think Sarah was really fast at updating the website before, so I'm hoping she can, it's really very minimal changes that we need to do to update the nomination forms at least, so hopefully that's not a big deal. And then, just before Thursday, I guess we need to make a final kind of poster decision. I didn't print those out, I was going to. But we just have sort of a graphic, couple graphic decisions on the posters. And then the rest of it is less stressful after May 4th. It's just sort of continuing to nudge people. I'll do a bunch of outreach to get people to actually enter this year, try to expand our efforts of our reach, I guess, try to really encourage people to apply or submit, even if, they're not sure, like, if their project's good enough or that whatever they're making a big enough or the impact is right fit. Like, we just need to really like champion people and empower them to like, that this is for them, this is for everyone, please submit. So we'll work on that after this May 4th deadline kickoff. And then we're aiming still to have them presented with a handshake at council meeting September 5th. And then do a party on the September 8th art walk at the museum.
And AIS is created and in the folder, ready to go for it. Yeah.
Sweet. That's my update.
Cool. I have some questions.
Yes.
Jury, yeah, so I can't remember where that stands, but do
We
we have,
haven't.
we haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so we'll have more conversation about who's on the
The
jury.
jury won't convene until June.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously we need to get people lined up. I know, it's so close. Yes.
Okay, translation, so last time we got everything translated and then at some point like an invoice came and they were like, we don't have any money, who's paying for this?
Yeah,
And so
right.
we ended up absorbing it. Do we know if that's?
I mean, I just had Bonnie in my office translate it on my
Oh,
time.
you
So-
did? You shouldn't have to do that. but-
Okay, I mean, it was like, we edited like 2 tiny paragraphs,
Oh,
right?
okay.
It was just like the things we added at the very
Oh,
end
okay.
and like the dates, it was very minimal.
Right,
Yeah.
so the website's not gonna need a major rehaul, I don't know how much we're done. Okay, great. So I
Yeah,
won't worry
most of
about
the
that.
text is the same.
Great. What about,
I guess the only thing would be for like the email blasts if we change anything significant for talking about last year's awards. But we'll see.
Yeah, so I think if there's things like that, I think just give me a heads up that we're gonna be spending it. And anything that you've spent so far, have you gotten reimbursed for it already?
I haven't spent anything this year yet.
What about last year?
I think I got reimbursed for, yeah, the awards.
Tom said there hasn't been any reimbursements from the
I think I got a check. You did? I'm pretty sure.
okay.
I have a copy of it still.
I sent a few things over. I can't remember what all they were, but
Yeah.
I mean, I send them to Sarah. She gets the string
Oh,
for
yeah.
funding and charges it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got
So
reimbursed.
Sarah would know.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe I'll ask Sarah for a list, because I think you looked into it at some point. You said you asked this somebody and they were like, no, there's nothing been pulling from the grant funds. Yeah,
that might have been, when I reached out to Nick, when we were initially starting to look at
Yeah.
the, I think that's what it was.
work
Yeah,
plan.
at the work plan and the funding for everything, the grant, and he said, yeah, nothing's really been spent so far. So,
Okay,
yeah, I'll pull that email or search
Okay.
for it and see.
I'm like 99.9% sure that I got a check.
okay, that's good to know. Okay, so, because all those expenses need to be accounted for, obviously. What about expenses for this upcoming award? Do we have a budget for?
Yeah, like I summarized that at
That's-
some point, but I did not come prepared with that like in a
That's
handy.
okay, you don't have to have it right now, I just want to make sure that.
It
we have
is
money
much,
for
it
you.
was less in terms of the actual medallions, because we don't have to pay for the molds. That's
The
my
other thing
answer.
I'm realizing is that we never got the museum committee's contribution, I think. Not sure that we did.
Yeah,
So
Maddie's
we're-
agreed to it multiple times, even after the fact. I've been like, are you guys still gonna help?
That might be something on your end. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe what we should do. We just need to look at our budget overall.
Mhm.
Like, if we're gonna have extra funds, it's not gonna hurt anything for us to just pay it.
Mhm.
Cause then that's spending our funds. We don't need to have them reimburse us and. And then they could even, if we can't use our funds during this cycle, potentially they could fund this round
Yeah.
instead.
We can also buy snacks for the party.
Right. We're gonna have snacks this time. So step one would be sticking with Sarah, seeing what our actual amount is. Step two is finding out what's happening with this RLS and then going back to our budget. So next meeting, we should have a budget update
Mhm.
with all that accounted for. All right, awesome. And so then the other thing I was thinking about that brainstorming, you had sent an email off to the subcommittee about. Brainstorming who might be a good candidate for this awards program. Starting to think about who to recruit.
Oh, yeah, you mean
Um,
like for the nominations
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking it might be nice to have like a quick brainstorm
about who to reach out
about
to.
who to reach out to, and I know that that's like next phase, but it's gonna come quick.
is gonna come
And so the more that we've put some pre-thought into it,
Mhm.
the better.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have examples of folks who you're thinking of to help get people's brains going.
I mean, I feel like, a lot of the kind of underrepresented communities, are, like, if there's actual organizations, like, that we can reach out to that can distribute to, various, who does the Noche Cultural, that organization.
Where it's at. Oh,
Yeah, that group,
Yeah.
I'm sure they have like an email list of people that participate in their events, just like how can we get a really broad reach? But also, like last year, some of our like entrants were because because we reached out to people directly, right? We're like, this person, it would be a good fit or a good candidate, like. And like reaching out to like somebody that will nominate them that like is a colleague or peer or whatever that would be willing to be a nominator for like the history makers and or like I feel like we reached out to the Talking Stones people last year, I think reaching out again for like that Calipuyan dictionary, that was one of the ones on our agenda, on our like outreach last year, and they just didn't have time or capacity to put together a nomination, like some of those targeted things that we know are really cool things that have happened in the community. It doesn't mean we have bias about who's getting selected, but just making sure people enter,
right.
is really the hard part. And it's work to enter and like making sure they have time. and like they feel like it's worth their time to enter, and like really just that direct outreach goes a really long way to them deciding that it's worth their time. Be like, I think you would be an amazing fit for this award. Please, you really should enter. Like it's, and so. I mean, I went around to some of the houses in the Washburn district and just like rolled up the nomination form and like stuck it in their door handle and put a sticky note on the door like, hey. So that, all of it,
So I have a couple questions, not being particularly familiar with this. I wondered, are folks able to self-nominate? Do they need to be nominated by somebody else? Or they, like, what are the rules for
Yeah.
nomination?
There's two categories. So there's one that's project based and one that's people based. So you could apply to have your project, like recognized, or you could submit yourself or someone else as a person to be recognized. Or a group, and it doesn't have to be like a single person, it could be a group that's making a lot of impact or whatever. So either. But then if it's a person, then they do need at least, I think it's 2 letters of support.
Okay.
And then if it's a project, they submit a lot of like photos or, other documentation showing what the project was, and there's specific items listed on a nomination form. But yeah, so they can self-nominate or get someone else to do it, or for a project do it themselves.
And then secondarily, am I correct in thinking we perhaps mail the Washburn district about this or have?
We did last year. Last year was the first time we've ever done it.
Okay,
So this is the second year we've ever done it coming up this year. Last year, we did mail the Washburn district because we were already planning a mailer in general. And so the timing worked out that we crammed that in there with the mailer. This year, I don't think we were planning to do a mailer necessarily, though if we need to spend money, we totally could. It's just another thing we have to like plan in the next month and execute quickly. But the city has the mailing list and it wouldn't be that difficult to just copy our letter and update it a little bit.
do we have a sense of if that was in fact effective or did? Okay,
Yeah, we have talked about, do we send out some sort of survey of like, are people really gonna respond? I don't know.
The one house renovation project was because you dropped off the
Yeah.
flyer in their house. I
Yeah.
think, right? So we don't think that any of the candidates, the people who actually applied were because of the mailer,
No.
right?
Yeah.
And that might have helped, but yeah,
It probably brought some awareness of it,
yeah.
whether it actually fostered any submissions, probably not. Doesn't mean that it wouldn't,
Yeah.
like now that
This
people see
year-
it, like maybe they were just like, oh, I don't have time, but then this year they're like, oh, that was a cool thing, I want one of those cool medallions, which is really what we want them to like get excited about this. It's like, oh, they got one, now I want one, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, we need a display of it
Mhm.
out here.
Belt
somewhere.
buckles, we
Yeah.
make belt buckles out of them.
Oh, okay.
That would be.
okay, just 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Does our form have anything that asks like where they heard about us? When they nominate?
That's a good
I don't
question.
think it does, maybe it should.
That might be a help.
Translated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
That might be a helpful way for us to build outreach strategies in the future.
Mhm.
And then my second question is, are we able to ask the previous nominees or winners to share with their networks? Because potentially they know people who
That's a good
are
idea.
most engaged in this work.
idea. It's a good idea for not only just to share with their networks, but also just like. It's a good idea. I've been on other awards programs where if you win an award one year, you're basically obligated to help like plan the awards next year. We're not asking for that, but just like giving a sense of like, investment in the process a little bit somehow. That's a great idea. Are you writing this down? Or can I borrow your pen?
Yeah, I only have one pen.
I left mine in the library. I probably wasn't supposed to have a pen to begin with.
I had 2 projects on my mind that, Calpuya Dictionary was one that came up and I tried to get that one in last time and it was really hard. Have like a point person really, it was, oh my gosh, her name.
Yeah,
is-
that lady. She was also involved with the Talking Stones,
Yeah.
right?
I just have Marta's name in my head and I can't think of her name. Anyway, maybe Marta can help me get in touch with her because I know Marta better now, but. She said that she was interested and then I just, like, it wasn't a priority really, I think, to get an award. So we'd really have to help that one. And then Herencia, Comunidad Herencia Cultural, which is the organization that runs Noche Cultural and Antonio Huerta. That was a good organization, I felt like. I'm still brainstorming others, so.
And it's okay for last year's nominees to resubmit if they didn't win too, like, we should really encourage them, like,
Yeah,
competition was steep, you know, like. We can only pick so many, you should play
Right.
again.
Sure.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so for anybody online, get your brain going, start thinking of Springfield folks that we can be reaching out to, or other strategies to reach out.
And be ready to do some emailing
Yeah.
and phone calling too, like directly, because I think we'll want the whole commission to be engaged with that outreach process.
Yeah.
Like much as we can divide and conquer and get more.
I guess we could probably almost like just knock the Washburn district. I mean, when it comes to the house.
Oh, yeah, just walk through the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah,
There's enough of us.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
don't know if that's how we want
Yeah.
to spend our
Give them a
time.
postcard. Stick them on the doors, then we still have to print a bunch.
yeah, the other idea would be to do some. I mean, we have posters, but I don't know if there's like. Yeah, that's a lot of work, right? I was just thinking like a night at Planktown,
Oh.
you know, something the neighbors can all walk to,
Mhm.
just kind of like come down and
I mean,
check out our award and,
it could be one of the, like, kind of when they do the fundraisers at the pubs or whatever, right?
yeah,
Somehow we spin it, it could be a fundraiser for the history museum, but also talking about the heritage awards.
yeah.
Could we get somebody to hand out our stuff at Art Walk?
Oh, yeah, we could
Oh,
take
yeah,
that
yeah, totally, we can table, and we can do it at the museum really easily, yeah.
thing, connect to that. Yeah, that's a good idea. So if it's the split second Friday, so if we keep that in mind in our
Would be-
schedule, try to do a tabling.
May. What's the 10th, what does it day? No, 12th.
May 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody want to volunteer to table at the Art Walk on May 12th?
We could probably do it if we just do it like at the museum or something.
You want to partner? Anybody else?
It's my idea, so I feel all.
You don't have to.
However, it really is not convenient for me in May.
Totally fine. You don't do it.
Two people.
Don't do it. We're good. Just putting opportunities out there, I know. I don't expect people to take. Okay. Awesome. So that's exciting. Any other updates from commissioners? Questions? In the group? All right. Keep moving along on RLS stuff and next month have a revisit on how all that's going and what our budget looks like and if we need to do any additional tweaks on that. Otherwise, nice to hear stuff kind of moving along.
Maybe we can put some of last year's winners as jury members as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I can help in some capacity at that art walk thing too. Happy to.
Oh, yeah, on the 12th?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. I think
The
I
only
u-
other update I have that's non-commission related but downtown related is that we leased a spot at 715 Main Street to do a retail store in there.
Huh.
Jenna, it was that one that was
Yeah.
Old
kind
cash
of torn apart for a long time. So it hasn't had a retail store in it for a long time, like 5 or 6 years. And then before that, I guess it was like a jewelry store for 40 years or something. But anyway, that's what we're doing. We're working on that. So
Sweet.
we'll be part of the downtown community.
That's awesome. Are you working on renovations? Are they renovating it or anything for you guys?
We're not renovating anything. They did all the like demo work 5 or 6 years ago and the current owner bought the building. But we're just building like displays and it's a really big space. So we're putting in kind of like an artificial wall to split it up a little bit. So working
Cool.
on it, but looking to open in like June, middle of June.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the, sorry, this might be a stupid question, maybe I missed it, but the retail, what's the business?
It's my wife. My wife's been wanting a store for a long time, but kind of it's called Main Street Goods is what it's gonna be called, but just kind of miscellaneous like home goods, rugs, textiles, furniture, some clothing, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Sweet, that's exciting.
You put a ladder up to that roof hatch.
It has a ladder through the roof already, a pull down one. It's really sketchy, but there's like a full patio up there.
Mhm.
Have you been up there?
Mhm.
It's cool. It's like a full built-in patio with like a roof up there.
Roof garden opportunity.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Cool. I feel like I thought of one more thing, but I lost it. So, I was gonna see if next month, do we want to aim for a public house outing? After the meeting for anybody? Should I put that on the schedule? That works.
I mean, you can always put it on there.
Post meeting.
Yeah.
Just heads up, I'll add it on there if anybody wants to meet. We haven't met Mason yet. He'd be welcome to come out if you're kid free enough. You can come join us at
Okay.
Public House for a drink.
Not pre-meeting.
All right,
I can come to that or whatever.
great.
I won't come on Zoom. I'll actually be there.
Okay, thanks. That's good.
Maddie says we can table at the museum on May 12th. Also,
Excellent.
just FYI.
Oh, yeah, so Art Walk starts around 5, right? So tabling
Yeah.
would be roughly 5-ish.
5-ish to whenever we are bored, but 8-ish usually.
Okay. And do you think you're gonna need any help finding stuff? Like, we'd probably need a table?
Gonna print, Maddie has a bunch of tables,
Yeah,
people
okay.
and stuff.
We won't worry about it. Okay,
Thank you then.
all right. Thanks, everyone, for being here. We'll see you next month. Look forward to hanging out after.
Thanks.
We're just having